let me do this introduction for you. Defying the odds. Welcome everyone that's watching this live. This is also going to be on my podcast. I am introducing you to one of the most amazing women in the entire world. It touches my heart that she saw me as a mentor to work with over 2 years ago. And she is brilliant. When I say she's a brilliant mind, she's excellent at what she does, and we'll give you all of those details. But she also does the inner work. And this is why she's a millionaire now. This is why she created the work that she did. And we're going to talk about $1 million lessons today. We're going to talk about her prayers for the world. And we're also going to talk about her creating YouTube sensations. I cannot wait. But Melissa Mae Dillion, would you introduce yourself to this beautiful audience and talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So, Melissa here. I'm a mama, which we're almost coming up, like less than like 8 days. We're going to have our first birthday. So that's absolutely amazing and awesome. But I think the best introduction would be, like 2 years, like when I was entering Christine's world, I was in a very toxic relationship, trauma bond that I didn't fully understand what was going on, but I just knew it was awful. I was working at a job that I loved what I got to do, but I didn't love how they controlled what I did, and that I couldn't really express myself the way I wanted to or do what I loved helping people pass the insurance exam, but just I needed to be done my way and I had to do it their way. I was sitting at my computer all day, just like bored out of my mind in a relationship I wasn't enjoying, kind of stuck at home all the time because we had switched to, remote positions. And it was just like, I knew that my life needed to be different. I knew that there was big things meant for me. I knew that, I was meant to be, on stages and talking to people, and that, I should be teaching people and people wanted to hear from me. And yet I was just stuck behind a little computer screen in my tiny rented little condo in a relationship that totally sucked. So, but I had, through different people and different things, I had kind of stumbled upon, finding Christine, and I really resonated with what she was saying. And I started kind of following her and just watching her posts. And then I began signing up for like her free programs. And then I remember the terror and excitement of spending $777 to join her Limitless program. And when she dropped a coupon that made it 333, I made for sure that I got that coupon in before it expired. And then it wasn't but like, I don't know, less than 6 months later, I was dropping $3,000 to make sure I can work with Christine. And I think, what is it, like a month, 2 months later, we made that back like double. And so it's just been an amazing journey of building my business. So I went from, working in a corporate job that I didn't love, signing up to work with Christine, getting to a point where I quit my job, started building my own business, started with a YouTube channel that now has 40,000 subscribers, a Facebook group that has 12,000 people in it, over 2,000 five-star reviews on Google for helping people pass their insurance exam. So I basically just decided to do what I was doing, but do it on my own, in my own way, as creative as I wanted to be, doing it the way I felt it should be. And it resonated with so many people. And it's just been absolutely amazing. And then in that time, I also left that marriage that was done. I have met my new amazing husband, David. We have had a baby together who's about to be 1 year old. And we are this weekend moving into our absolute dream property. Over like 100 acres, a pond, backed up to like US land. So like way more acreage available to us to just play around and hunt on. And it's just absolutely beautiful. To be able to wake up, like even just our view, like when you look out on the deck and like you could see the pond and you see all the trees, and I mean, that's going to be my normal everyday view. And that was one of the desires. Christine has you right, your 5 top big desires. And like we've hit like all of them. So now we need new ones. But one of them was an IG worthy home. And when you look at the pictures of this house, everyone's like, I can't wait to see pictures. And I'm like, I can't wait to show you all the pictures. Like, this place is beautiful. And it's so it's just so much nature. And that's something that I really desired. When I first met Christine, I was, living in a condo in the city, one of the biggest, busiest city, Vegas, and I didn't want to be there. And I traveled constantly to my mom's house, who was in upstate Michigan, in the woods, in the trees. And I really desired that to be a part of my life. And I didn't even know how it was going to work. When we first started talking, I was talking like, let me just own a van so I can just travel the country. But then like universe and Christine was like, it'd be so much better if you met this amazing man who lived in the country. And so you wouldn't have to, take care of your own plumbing system in the van. But so, yeah, I got a much better dream life than I had concocted myself. But yeah, so it's been a crazy, amazing ride. And there have definitely been a lot of $1 million lessons along the journey.
There's so much. You gave such a good summary of where you were to where you are now, and there were so many lessons along the way, because if anyone looks at your social media and they scroll back, they will see that you shared everything, right? So when you had the difficulties and you were in that marriage and you were challenged, you never stop showing up for yourself, your clients, your business. And that's why you were able to create the $1 million over the 2 years. And so I wanted to talk about one of well, we know there's so many, but I know one of the main lessons, the $1 million lessons for you, was for you to do it your own way. Remember, there was that big piece where you were like, Christine, I want to do these videos, but I need to do them all perfect. And you were like trying so hard to make these videos perfect. Instead of I was like, just use what you got, just use what you got. And how much money have you made off of those bundles with those videos when you just use what you got?
Over $1 million at this point.
So, so the
Yeah.
first lesson is for you to remember that you don't have to do it perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. You just have to have the passion, the knowledge, and your own unique viewpoint, and do it that way. And it's going to take off. It's going to take off. I absolutely love that. What's another $1 million lesson that you can think of that you learned along the journey of creating this $1 million?
That there's a reason that it's taking the time that it takes. Like there's a reason that like if you want a muscular body, that you have to go to the gym and lift weights every single day to make that happen, and that it doesn't happen overnight. I think back now, and if like I had the kind of money that I had available to me now back then, I would have made horrible choices. I wouldn't have been ready. Like we have to be like we see these huge visions and things that we have. Like I wanted a massive property in this beautiful space that we can have. Well, do you know that you need like a $20,000 lawnmower to support it? Are you ready to buy like the big dreams that we want come with things that require us to handle it and take care of those things. And like if your ability, like I talk about this all the time. If you want to be a multimillionaire, but you're sitting here worried about like a $3,000 bill that randomly pops up because your car broke down and like, oh my God, how are you going to fix it? How do you think you're going to handle a $30,000 bill that just pops up? Because that's what happens in millionaire dollar worlds. Like you have to grow into being able to hold it and to not like freak out. Like some people want to build a business and they're like, well, you just got so lucky and your YouTube channel just took off. And I'm like, okay, well, what have you tried? Well, I posted a video. I'm like, okay, and then well, nobody watched it, so I gave up and I quit. Like people, they can't. You got to be able to hold it. You got to be able to handle like just the doing of it and the building up of it. And like I experienced this myself. It was like, if I don't see immediate success, then I think it's wrong. Or if I don't see immediate stuff, then it was bad. And it's like, you have to allow the cooking process. You have to allow the time, and, you get better and better at the things that you do. When I started the Insurance Exam Queen business, I had already been teaching the exam for 4 years before I did it on my own. And when I first started doing it, I wasn't that good. I mean, I was pretty darn good, but I got better and better the more familiar I got with, teaching those concepts and like taking those exams. And like, if I had tried to start my own business, like without those 4 years of experience, it wouldn't have landed the way that it does now. Like it took me that time to really embody that I am the queen of this, that I am the best person at teaching this. And I knew that from the beginning too, but I also had no sense of humility either, in terms of like I'm humble and not humble. But like if I thought I was the best, that also meant that I couldn't learn.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like I was the best, but I needed to finesse that. And I needed to like spend some time, working with other people, also teaching the exam to better myself. If I just went in, I think this is kind of like, some people talk about what's the difference between like, cockiness and like confidence. Cockiness is saying, I've got it and there's nothing I need to evolve or grow. Confidence is saying, I'm really good at it and I continually grow and evolve.
Grow and evolve.
And because that's what makes you even better and better, so it's just trusting that the time that it takes. Like I remember sitting in my, 20s thinking, I know I'm supposed to be a multimillionaire. I know I'm supposed to be on stages. I know I'm supposed to be talking to people, and none of this is happening. And why is this happening? It is, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't set for it. But when you begin doing the inner work, when you begin really trusting yourself, really, when you begin, tapping into the energy that is available all around you, it begins to show up, but you're also in a space to be able to handle it. There's definitely a lot of things that happen along this journey that you might not expect. Like you build this incredible business, you've got people on payroll, and then the payroll system stops working. Like it's not your fault. It's a website that you don't have control over. It's a system you don't have control over. And then people rely on you to get paid. And you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? This is one of the $1 million lessons. What do you do when the systems you use don't work and people are relying upon you for a paycheck? Like that's something I would not have been able to hold the space for or manage early on in my business. This is things that I had to learn and grow to be able to handle and manage these things. So yeah, I mean, I think it was like $10 million lessons in that.
I was going to say that was at least 2 or 3, maybe even $4 million lessons. One of the biggest things that you said, and I want to reiterate, is you needed to expand into it. And so all of you that are watching, I know that you either are multi 6 figures or, 7 figures is intention and goals, 8 figures. We're talking about 9-figure businesses. That's what we've been talking about. You have these desires, but it also takes time for you to expand your capacity to be able to hold it. And you said if that payroll system thing happened even at $30,000 months, right? If that happened to you at $30,000 months and not at the $100,000 a month, you would have handled it totally differently, energetically in your body. But because now you have the tools and you know how to, you've expanded your capacity, right? Because problems don't go away. They just become $1 million problems instead of $30,000 problems.
Yeah.
That is a huge thing to remember. And so everyone wants to rush. I'm all about quantum leaps. Melissa actually did do a whole 180 with her entire life, and working with me will accelerate that. Yes. But we also work on expanding your capacity as you grow and landing in it so that you can lock in your new identity, lock in the identity of whatever you're going. And that's super important. If anyone takes away some lessons, the lesson is to allow yourself to expand into your growth. Like allow yourself to expand into instead of rushing.
Yeah, it's like the whole sharpening the saw thing. Like you want to quickly cut down the tree, but you do it with an axe that ain't very sharp. It's going to take you longer to do it than if you had spent time sharpening the saw. And I've heard that lesson like 1,000 times, but like, what does that actually look like in your life? It's like being able to hold emotionally, mentally, and physically hold difficult situations without wanting to crumble onto a floor in a fetal position crying. And I've had those moments within building my business. And I've gotten to a point where it's like, I don't need to break down in order to break through. I used to have to break down, fall on the floor, pick myself back up and say, okay, I'll do it again. It's like, okay, well, this was difficult. This is hard, but I can handle it. I'm going to figure out the next right step. I'm going to lean on the people who can support me through this, and we'll just get it done. Whereas like these things would have like completely taken me out before. And it's like the universe cannot give you the $1 million if you're going to land on the floor in a puddle crying like a little baby because your payroll quit working. They're going to wait until you can handle it because people are relying upon you for the payroll, and they don't need a person who's in a puddle on the floor crying because a website quit working. Like we've got to be able to handle it. And so like if it hasn't happened yet for you, like you're like, I want, the $10,000 a month, 20,000, I want the 6-figure, I want that. It's like you have, don't think there's something wrong with you. I think that was one of the biggest $1 million lessons is we think there's something wrong that we need to fix. And maybe it's just part of what you're doing. It's not wrong. It's just, we think it hasn't happened, so something's wrong. And it's like, it is happening, and I am on my way to it, and I am growing and evolving as I get there. Like my baby, she's on the verge of walking, but she's not wrong for crawling. Like we make ourselves wrong for crawling when that's just one of the necessary developmental steps to getting to stepping. And she's beginning to do this like crawl now where her knees are off the floor. She's using her feet more, and she kind of looks weird, like weird as hell.
Downward dog crawling.
Yeah, like it's crawl, walk, run. Like we want to be running out the gate, but trust me, like it's not fun to sprint when you're not familiar with even running.
No.
So we've got to allow the crawl, walk, run. That's the quickest way. Like we think the quickest way is, just hop to the running. But if you're not physically, mentally, emotionally prepared to handle that, it's not going to go very well. You're going to crash and burn. You're going to find yourself on the floor crying in a puddle, and you're going to have to pick yourself up again. And if you allow yourself to crawl, walk, run, it's so much better. And that's more when the quantum leap happens than trying to make it happen right now.
Exactly. I like to call it walking with the quantum. So you're walking with the leap. And so you're being that person who already has it. And that way, when it happens, you're already acclimated to the energy that comes with it. One of the biggest things that you said that I want to repeat is not trying to look at everything as you need to fix it. I did that when I had my first, I had a $40,000 a month, and then I had a $60,000 a month. And I was so afraid that I wasn't going to be able to hold it, right? There's like, can I hold this? Can I hold this? Can I hold this? And so because I was in the can I hold this space, I started looking for all the things of like, what do I need to fix? Or can I fix this? Or this is wrong, and let me do this. And I kept looking for what I needed to fix about me and about business or whatever, instead of just keeping knowing that this is just my norm. This is just a default. This is just the way it gets to be. And so one of the things that I love doing with you and with my other clients is like, we get to move forward, more on more. You don't have to go down to go up. You get to just more on more on more. It can get better and better and better. Too good to be true is the norm. That is the way your life gets to be. Other things get to happen. Bad things happen because that's just normal, right? But it doesn't need to be like just the way everything is. You know what I mean? There's a different viewpoint of looking at that. And so another $1 million lesson is stop trying to fix yourself and just see everything as building on each other. Everything compounds, like everything is building on each other, and it's all compounding, all compounding, all compounding, all compounding. And you're going to look back and just be like, oh my God, look how far I've come because you continue to take the steps. And that is what is going to take you so far, so fast. It's a huge $1 million lesson.
Yeah. And having my baby and watching how we grow and develop as a human and seeing that there has to be steps in between the big change. I remember her even just working on crawling, and she'd get up on her hands and her knees and she'd shake her body, and then she'd just plop again. And I'm like, crawl, baby, crawl, And it's like she's building up the muscle. She just wasn't ready yet. And then once she started crawling, she's taken off, and that'll happen too with walking. And so being able to kind of witness that journey and understanding that we are experiencing those same journeys within our business, within our relationship, within all kinds of things. I mean, having been, I say, I was a poor teacher for so long, I didn't know how to talk business deals. I didn't know how to talk big dollars. I didn't know the idea of like hiring someone and paying them more money than I've ever earned at a job was hella scary. And that was around the 30,000 months when I found myself in a fetal position on the floor. Like, I can't handle all this. It's too much. But I've grown out of that phase of, like I used to have to break down to break through, and now I can break through without breaking down. But that was that's all just part of, it's just part of the journey. It's just part of growing. And I didn't look at it as wrong or bad. Just part of the process. But being a mom and seeing how, she takes her time to do what is comfortable for her. She's trusting her body. She's trusting, what she's playing with. You could see her testing out new levels of like climbing this or doing that. And there's nothing wrong with what she's doing. She's not doing anything wrong, but we look at ourselves all the time. I'm testing out, talking with business deals. I'm trying out, working with different partnerships. I'm experimenting a different way of marketing. And then we just assume it's wrong because it didn't immediately take off. It didn't immediately hit. Like this instant gratification kind of thing that we've got going on ruins our ability to just hold the space of what it is we want to build. And I relate this. I have a Magic Money membership. It's like a Facebook group where people can come in, and honestly, pretty much anybody who's asked a question almost gets like one-on-one coaching, because I'll just go live and answer their questions. And it's been so magical and wonderful. But we've been talking about, they're like, I want to make more money and I need to see more money. So what do I got to do? And I'm like, okay, doing is your masculine energy, and we love doing. There is stuff that got to get done. There are things that need to be built. There's stuff that needs to happen. But like that masculine energy is like the pounding and the working. And like, if this is all you're doing all the time, that we don't want that. I try to talk about like making money as like an actual sexual relationship in a way. And so if you're like, I gotta do, like that is exhausting. I don't want this all the time. I want this some of the time, not all the time. It is like just realizing like, everything has this like ebb and this flow to it, and not thinking that like a down is bad. There's times where it's like, oh, we don't have a ton of sales because it's a holiday and people are celebrating. Go celebrate the holiday and not focus on your sales. It's just not the time to look at your sales. It's the time to go celebrate. It's the time to go have fun. It's not the time to figure out, what do I got to do? What do I got to do? What do I got to do? There are times you just got to lay back and just receive and allow, the stuff to come in, and not assuming that like, if I don't see it today, it won't happen tomorrow. Like one of my favorite lines from you're single until you're not.
Yes. Single until you're not. You have a client until you don't have a client until you do. Like, who's to say there's not 5 people ready to hit send to sending you a DM to say they want to work with you? Like, that's how you don't know what's happening, in the ethers. I did a video on YouTube. It was a YouTube live, and I talked about how to surrender when you're going all in. Because a lot of people feel like, oh, because I'm going all in, there's no surrender. And I'm like, no, there's both, because you've got the superpower, you've got God, universe, source that's working with you and supporting you. And then you have your personal power. And so, yes, you're going to take action. Yes, it's glorious. You get to move and you get to do. And you also get to lean back and say, I've done my part. Thank you so much. I'm going to go play. I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to go lean back. I'm going to rest. I'm going to Netflix it and chill. I'm going to do something. And I'm going to allow what gets to come into my world. I think that's also a huge $1 million lesson, is that you're not doing this alone. And when you know that you're not alone, right? It's you described this very beautifully, how you became a millionaire, but it's not a self-made billionaire, because you had so much support. You got, of course, the energetic support from God, universe, sugar daddy, but you had so many people supporting you along the way, and you had to learn how to lean into that support and receive that support. And that is what allowed you to, like, the business to start doubling and tripling and going into the $100,000 month.
Mm-hmm.
So yay. Oh, I see Olivia. Hello, Olivia. Hello, Kitcha. You have some quantum queens here. Hello. I would love for you to talk about that too, because that was a big learning for you on leaning into support and receiving the support and allowing them to do their brilliance and you to be here. And so
So I was pregnant. And the business had gotten up to, you know, 30,000, 20 to $30,000 months. And I knew that I would have to take time off to have the baby, and I would need somebody to man the ship. You know, it wasn't too, I mean, it was a lot of customer service in a sense of like answering people's questions on YouTube, directing them to the website, you know, YouTube comments, Facebook comments, emails, and just making sure people knew where to go, what to find, what was going to best help them. And at the time, I actually didn't even have, like, my website wasn't very clear. Because like when you're taking the insurance exam, you need to know, what do I need? And is this going to work for me in my state? And I didn't even have that kind of outlined or spelled out at all. And was the timeline? Did I have? I don't remember the time, but I had a lot going on, and most of my job turned into answering these questions, answering YouTube comments, answering Facebook comments, answering emails, and that was consuming my time. And I knew I would need to give that over in order to focus on the baby and have the baby. So one, I had to be able to trust that someone else could give them adequate answers, that I'm not the only one who knows exactly what they need to pass their exam. So trusting that, giving that to someone else, allowing someone else to do that, and then turning off my paying attention to that to focus on my life and my baby and my body and what was going on with me. And so we bring, you know, Randy, my COO, on board, who's absolutely amazing and epic. And she took over, you know, managing the business. She made decisions. She did certain things. She implemented things, took on some stuff and all that. And I focused on the baby and having the birth. And then in the middle of all of that, we were also renovating our house that we were going to move into. So we hadn't moved into it yet, but we needed to renovate it. It's so beautiful. Look at my cedar walls and everything. My house is so beautiful, but we had to renovate it. So I'm focusing on having the baby, taking care of the baby. We have a house that is being renovated by other people, and money has to come in to pay for that renovation. There was no loans available. We had to pay cash for everything we were doing, and someone else had to run all the business. So I had to lean on support for someone else to run my business. I had to lean on support for David to manage the renovation. And I had to trust that the money would come in to do all of this. And all of it happened. And all of it worked. And I just got to focus on my baby and focus on breastfeeding my baby and not worry about, you know, what was going on. And there were moments that were scary. I'm like, Christine, $10,000 that's coming out for the furnace. Then he wants another $10,000 for the countertops. And then it's like, how is this going to happen? She's like, breathe, breathe. And so there were, I mean, I'm not saying that whole time I was like, oh yeah, everything's fine, everything's working. I mean, we have our moments, and that's why it's so important to have a mentor. Like, there's no way I could have done this without you. That's another support, is like having you by my side, being able to be in my ear and be like, we've got this. It's okay. Let David handle that. Let Randy handle that. The money is flowing in. All you've got to do is take care of you and the baby. And that's literally exactly, you know, what happened. And we now, you know, beautiful house, beautiful baby. Randy's loving her job. You know, it's amazing. And, you know, and David was able to take care of so much. And it was just incredible. And I always had to do everything myself all the time previously. And that was like an identity that I carried, because I heard my father say, I have to do everything for everyone. And I carried that identity myself, trying to fix him. I took that identity on. And so that was one of the things that I shed through this process, was thinking I had to be the one to do everything. If I didn't have my hands on it, or if I wasn't the one doing it, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be awesome, and it would all ruin. And so I've had to release and let go. That's part of the surrender, you know, to release and let go of the need. Because Christine's like, I think you just have a control issue. You need to, you're controlling. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I want to give it away. I don't even know how.
But what did you have to
That
do?
was a big $1 million lesson.
You had to. I love that you brought that up, because most of us are controlling. And if you're an entrepreneur, you probably have a little bit of a control freak in you, probably. But what you had to do was you had to just test it. You had to say, okay, I'm going to try it. And you had to actually take the move and just say, okay, Randy, you're going to do it. And while you were biting your fingernails and nervous about it, you had to do it, right? You just had to do
Yeah.
it. And that is what is super important. One of the things, and I know we're going to wrap it up in a little bit, but one of the things that I love about you is that you grew a YouTube channel from 0 subscribers to over 40,000 subscribers. You also built up a Facebook group from 0 to 12,000. You did it your way. You created these bundles. You made $1 million off of basically low ticket, what people would think a lower ticket type of opportunity of a $97. That's the majority of the sales in this gold package of teaching people how to learn. I mean, to learn to pass the insurance exam. And so you decided that you were going to do this your way. And now you are helping people to build their own YouTube channels. I know you're having so much fun with that. You also talked about your magic money. You have Melissa Mae Dillion, which you're coaching. You're going to be speaking on stages and doing all the things. And you also have prayers for the planet. And so can you tell us a little bit more about those three things? Because those are ways that people can, who's listening on the podcast and watching this, can learn to work with you. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Can you hear me? I can hear you. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Someone turned on my van and you Bluetooth to my van.
So let me repeat. What I was saying was you have this YouTube channel.
Yeah, I heard all that. I was
Okay.
ready to, yeah, but then I just lost. Yeah, so we have, so right now we don't have any more space available because, oh my God, so many people jumped in on it as soon as I offered a YouTube opportunity. But we're working with other people who want to, kind of build a YouTube channel. And there's so many rules. Like, you have to have edited videos, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I hardly followed any of them and built a wildly successful YouTube channel. But there are some things that, you can get into place quickly and easily with some support. So we want to offer that. So I'm super excited to see the YouTube channels that will blow up from what we're doing there. We have the Magic Money, which is probably my favorite place. And it's like my playground. And I have so much fun with Magic Money. One, because it's so dirty cheap. Like, I wanted to make it
$33 a month, I think.
a month. Yes. So it is like super, super cheap, $33 a month. And it's basically a Facebook group. And people, come in and they ask questions. We talk about money. We talk about beliefs. And what will happen is, people will post questions. And the easiest way for me to help them is to just go live and to talk about it and to share like a lot of things on my journey, what I learned, how I handled this. Like one of the most favorite videos I recently did was we talked about mama guilt. Like there's so much mama guilt available and we just tap into it as soon as that baby pops out, even when we're pregnant. I had I'm not walking enough. I'm not drinking enough water. My poor baby is going to grow up bad because I'm, eating a Milky Way right now. Like the mama guilt is so hard. And then like, if you want to build a business and you want to make money and you like, that requires time away from your baby, mama guilt. Right. And so how do you make money and have this amazing business in this company while also having the baby and how do you deal with all that? So we had this amazing conversation about it. And the woman who had asked me the question, she's like, I'm going to have to listen to this 2 or 3 times and I will come back and I will drop some comments and stuff. And so that was really cool. So it's really a playground. There's no set schedule. There's no set, things. It's kind of like people come in and they celebrate. They say, or I want to be manifesting this and I'm working on this. And then a lot of people add in their, wisdom and their knowledge. So you're really being supported by people. One of the reasons I also wanted to talk about it and start it was because we tend to be really scared to say, I want to be a multimillionaire and I want to buy really cool stuff and I want to have enough money to pay for whatever it is I want without worrying about anything. When you start speaking like that, people are like, huh, what? Like, you're crazy. Like, that's delusional and all these things. And so, or like, that's so materialistic and you shouldn't care about money. People got all kinds of crazy money beliefs. And I'm like, I wanted a safe space for money where we can openly, happily talk about money and be able to say our big dreams and be able to have people come in. And that's another piece of it too, is we co-create everything we've got going on with the universe. And when you have other people join with you in that co-creation, so like I went in there and I talked about how I want to have a beautiful, amazing home where David and I can live, and we have all these property and stuff like that. I didn't have that when we first got started, but I say it in Magic Money, and then people come in and like, yes, we want you to have that, and that's going to be so awesome and cool. And then boom, it shows up. So you have other people walking in alignment with you towards the things you want, cheering you on. So many of us try to manifest a dream or an idea that we don't let go beyond our head, right? Like we keep it to ourselves. And like, that was the thing. I kept it to myself, that I even wanted to be a millionaire, that I wanted to be someone speaking on stages, that I wanted to be famous on Facebook. I kept it to myself. And until I say it out loud and someone else enrolls in that journey with me, don't really make it very real. And so I wanted to remove the fear of being able to express ourselves. So Magic Money is there, and it's one of my favorite fun places to be on the internet. And then Prayers for the Planet, I'm still kind of like exploring that. I'm really like allowing myself to just kind of channel and receiving messages. And I grew up very in the church all the time. Like, I mean, we not only do we go to church on Sunday, but like every activity that the church had going on, our dad would sign us up for. And it was like a huge piece of my life to be in the church. But I don't fully now resonate with everything that is saying like, this is what church is and this is what God is. And I'm like not in alignment with that. And so I'm kind of like coming back to like being, spiritual, being, with God and in the Bible, but without like being like super hard rigid about what certain people think. And so I'm just kind of like saying prayers for the planet. And like, I started it as, speaking my desires out loud, because this is, again, something we're so afraid of. I want to be billionaire, flying around the planet, speaking on stages. I want people reading my books. I want people all around the world to know my name. I want all the people around the world to be hearing from me, learning lessons from me. I want people to know that they can love and create their lives and live the most magical lives like I'm living. And I want to show people how to do that. Being able to say that out loud confidently, like just like that, without fear, hesitation, or doubt, or worry that someone else thinks that what I just said is stupid. I want to show people how to do that. And so I started doing that. But then like, as I was doing it, I was like, I don't just want to speak desires for myself. Like that's already done. Like to me, there's no question that there will be a time in my life where I'm booked out on stage, that I have to turn down opportunities to go speak on stage for multiple six figures because I would rather go play in the pond with my baby, but I got the opportunity if I want it. There's no doubt in my mind that I will have books published all around the world in multiple languages, and that people will learn from the world's teacher, Melissa Dillon. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that that's going to happen. And with speaking about it over and over again was like, well, I already know this is true. So I'm like, I want to speak about something else. And I'm like, I want to change the planet. And so like some of the things I started talking about was like this belief that we have to have this job, that we have to have jobs, that it has to be hard, that it has to be difficult. I'm like, we are breaking the chains of that. We are allowing people to be able to love themselves and express themselves and do what they're passionate about and know that they're fully supported. And so I just kind of like allowing that to happen. I'm still working on figuring out like a schedule per se, or like, cause like there's so much going on in my life right now. I was like, I'm going to do this every day and commit to this and make this happen. But then I'm like, but I got baby and I got life and I got moving. And I'm like, I just got to find my way through it. So that's where we're at with prayers for the planet. But
No, what I do is I love that you always will find your way. We started off what Insurance Exam Queen YouTube. It was $33, what were you doing? $33
I started out tutoring for
tutoring.
$33 an hour.
Yes, and then $27, and then you went to you remember I pushed you for the $997 coaching thing, and then from there $97, and now a millionaire, right? So prayers for the planet, I love that it came from you expressing your desires for what you would love to see this planet experience, and that feeling that what you're doing is going to change so many lives. And so I'm excited about that. I just heard Preacher Melissa just come out just now. I hear it, I see it, I see that's going to be something that gets to evolve as it goes. And if you guys watching and you're listening or watching us on Instagram or listening on the podcast, I will have like her informations on the podcast so that you can click the links and you can find her. You can join Magic Money. It's $33 $33, who doesn't want to learn how to make money and be with money and shift their beliefs about money from someone who is a millionaire. Like, that's the person you need to learn it from.
We
And
have
so
a
you're,
couple of millionaires in the group.
oh, a couple of millionaires in the group. And so definitely check that out. If Melissa, if you wanted to type the link in the comments, you can, and then that way I can pen it for
Yeah,
this video.
right. I mean, I made it my right now because I got a lot going on. It's actually my homepage of
Oh,
melissamaedillon.com. So just Melissa Mae, MAE Dillon.com. And the Magic
Dylan,
Money membership is there.
yay,
But if you also DM me here, we can get it to you. And
yay.
yeah.
So melissamaedillon.com, and then you will see, like, there's a couple of things. Melissa and I, we had celebrated her $1 million year. It was in April, right? It was in April, and it was just so, like, I still have tears, and I'm going to be putting that video up on YouTube too, and you can hear Melissa's story from when she was younger all the way till now. I just want anyone to know that there's no limitations to what you can do. Melissa is an example of what's possible. She's an example that you can start from anywhere, a $40,000 a year or $30,000 a year teacher, all the way to creating a business where you are known and people want to, like, everybody in the whole world wants to a part of your business because they see where you're going and they see that you are going to take over the entire industry. Like, that's what's possible for you. You've just got to decide it. And it starts with confidence, it starts with conviction, and it starts with you deciding that your unique way is the way. And that's one big thing. Melissa, she decided she was going to wear her pink and yellow hair, and she was going to shave the sides, and she was just going to come in there. And if you think about the insurance business, it's very conservative. It's people still wear suits when they come and sell you insurance. Like, it is a very conservative business, but she was like, screw that. I'm going to do it my way.
Spaghetti
That's what you need to do.
strap, bare shoulders.
And you remember your chunky jewelry, the leopard, the color, you decided that I'm gonna do this my way. And guess what? Everybody wants a piece of her because she decided to do it her way. And so if there's one last $1 million lesson that I want you to take home with you, it's because you to be your unique self, you to be authentically you. You to stop, if you came from corporate, forget everything you were taught and just say, what would I do if I didn't care what anybody said? If I didn't give a fuck what anybody said, how would I show up? How would I be me? And that is what's going to make you the multimillionaire or the multi-millionaire. Let's see. Fallon says, I would like to understand. I love your energy. I love it. I love it. I love it. Fallon will make sure that you get the link to Magic Money, because for $33 a month to be able to be under the tutelage of someone who's already made $1 million and is already well on her way to multiple millions this year,
Yeah.
you need to do
The
it.
business is a multi-million-dollar business because I could sell it for that right now.
Way,
There's already
way
buyers
more.
lined up.
She's already the unicorn. You know how they say in tech, you're a unicorn? You're a unicorn. People want to pay millions of dollars for you. And that's just, it's because of your energy and it's because of who you are. And so thank you so much for trusting me to be your mentor. It has been a blast. And I'm so excited for where we get to go and where you get to go. And it's just going to be amazing.
Yeah, I love you. Thank you so much, Christine. It has been an incredible journey, and we're just getting started.
It's just getting started. Thank you. And I love all of you. Check this out on the podcast, and we'll make sure we get you all the links, melissamaedillon.com. Bye.
Bye.